The number one thing I want you guys to take away from this video is that there's a dramatic difference in the emissions system on this tractor compared to any of the competition. Hey, it's Brock here with Rock Hill Farm, and today I want to talk about what makes TYM tractors so unique out of any tractor that's available on the market. And I'm not saying this is a perfect tractor. I'm not saying that there aren't other things from other brands that make those brands appealing as well. But there are some very unique things with TYM that are not true about any other brand. And really, there are three things that I think separates TYM. And I'm going to hit them in order of what's least important to me. Number one is lift capacity. Lift capacity is a big deal to me, but it's not as important as these other two things. But as a general rule, a TYM tractor is going to lift more with the front end loader and with the 3-point than competition from other brands in the same class range. It's just a fact. And some people have tried to kind of dispute it with me and say, well, that's just a difference in how they list it, whether it's at the pins or in front of the pins or behind. It's not, guys. I've had the machines next to each other and tried to pick up the same log. It just picks more up. It is what it is. We're going to move on from the point about lift capacity. Number two is price. Price is a big deal. If you're going to tell me that you don't care what a machine costs, I don't believe you. Now, you might care about it and then say, you know what, the most expensive one is also the best, and I'm willing to pay more for the best. But it's not insignificant when we're talking about a machine like this. And this tractor today can be bought from my local dealer, the Tractor Yard, for $35,000. And, you know, the nearest competition in price is probably LS. It's going to be about $40,000 for that tractor. The average price is going to be $50,000. It's going to be $60,000 for John Deere or Kubota. You're talking about $35,000 versus $60,000. It's crazy. It's dramatic. I'm not going to talk about tariffs here. I'm not going to go into how that's going to affect it. But today, and I bet going forward, you could save a ton of money buying a TYM. That's the second most important reason. And those are big ones. The third reason I like TYM so much is something that no other brand can say. These are mechanically fuel-injected engines. They have dramatically less electronics, dramatically less complication in their engines. It's a very simple system. A throttle run by a cable that controls your fuel. It's what tractors used to be. It's a simple diesel engine. Now, we all know about the Tier 4 emission standards and potentially Tier 5 emission standards that look like they're not even going to happen. We don't know what'll happen. I'm no fortune teller. But those Tier 4 emission standards require your diesel trucks and your diesel tractors to do what I call pissing in the drinking water. That's the only way I can describe it. And you might not die the first day if you go out and pee in the drinking water, but it's not good for you. And when you take your emissions and say, we're going to reburn these emissions back through the tractor, that's exactly what you're doing. And I think it's the worst thing that you could possibly put on a tractor, and I don't think it's saving the environment either. Now, a lot of people are going to be upset about that. I'm just stating my opinion. You can have your opinion. We don't have to agree. Now, everything I've said right now about the engines on these is pretty vague. There's not a lot of details there. And that's because I'm not a diesel mechanic. I'm not an expert. I've listened to all the information multiple times. I've had these conversations with people. I think I have a decent understanding of it, but I can't lay it out for you step by step, as well as a couple of videos I'm going to share with you on other YouTube channels that go very detailed into what sets this engine apart. And what I want TYM to know is that the number one selling point that I think you should be telling your customers about is that you don't have all that garbage on your engines. And what I'm afraid of is that everything progresses and evolves, and that if TYM is going to feel like they need to modernize their engines to keep up, and I think it's a big mistake. And I think you're going to lose people who love your brand because you're not doing that. Every other brand is doing it, and you're not. That's what sets you apart. And my message to TYM is don't let go of that. And hopefully what's happening is those emission standards are rolling back the other way right now. And if that's what happens, maybe we can stop trying to destroy our diesel engines prematurely with all this garbage. The most interesting thing that I've verified with 100 people is that these TYM tractors never regen. They have a DPF filter on them, but they just never clog up and require a regen. Like my John Deere tractor regened at least once every 50 hours. This one I'm at 150, it's never done a regen. I wouldn't get too excited about that, except I talk to TYM and other brand tractor owners every single day, and I've had, if it's been 200 people that told me their tractor has never done a regen. Before I had a TYM, Tony from Tony's Tractor Adventure told me that he had like 500 hours on his TYM 474, and it had never done a regen. And I'm sorry, Tony, if you watch this. I don't mean to be this guy, but he said that in videos, and he said it to me in person, and I consider him a friend, and part of me did not believe that his tractor didn't regen. And then I got one. Mine never regens. Everyone else tells me that. And you know, there are a lot of different ways to meet Tier 4 emission standards on a tractor, and different companies have used different methods. People will brag about Mahindra not having a regen cycle at all on their tractor, but they have an emissions component that is different than what's used on the other brands. They're using an EGR, which is a computer-controlled system that has more ways to go wrong than putting a simple filter on your emission system like what is on this tractor. So my buddy Jake, who owns the tractor yard, he just put out a 37-minute video talking about the history of emissions components on tractors, how we got to where we're at, what is on different brands of tractors, pros and cons of different systems. He did 37 minutes on that is better than I could say it. So if you want to hear more about this topic, go watch his video. Now, if you want to hear very detailed information about the difference between Kook J engines and other brands of diesel engines in tractors, I'll share a video on that. It's titled Kook J versus Everyone Else. It's phenomenal information, and they say it better than I could ever say it. What I love about this tractor is, if you hate emission standards as much as me, you could take some hand tools, and in about 15 minutes, you could delete the emission system, and the tractor would never know it. On any other tractor, if you modify your emission system, the computer is going to be confused by that, and you're going to have at the minimum lights on your dash, and at the maximum, it might not run right. With this tractor right here, you could just, let's say, knock the stuffing out of it or drill some holes, and now your tractor no longer has an emissions problem. If this tractor had a problem with the DPF that needed replaced, I could just eliminate that. Now, legally you're not allowed to do that, whatever. I have no opinion on what you do to your tractor, and I'm not going to tell you what I do to mine, but I love the simplicity of the setup, and that's my honest opinion. Now, if you're watching this, I'd say 99% of you know that I have a partnership with the tractor yard, and they allow me to use this tractor free of charge. And because they allow me to use it, that could put bias in my opinion, and in every single video where I promote the quality of this tractor, I want to clearly state to you guys that I have a bias, and that is what it is. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. These tractors do not regen. I appreciate you taking time to watch the video. I'll put links on the screen to a couple more of our videos, and I'll see you next time.